Caitlin Clark and Alyssa Thomas, two stars of women's basketball, have both carved out their places on the court with undeniable talent, grit, and fire. Clark, known for her sharpshooting and cool-headed leadership, is a name that has become almost synonymous with the future of the sport. Thomas, a relentless competitor with a no-nonsense approach to the game, commands respect for her ability to grind it out in even the toughest situations. But what many didn't see coming was a heated off-court battle between the two, sparking a legal firestorm that has gripped the sports world. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Recently, news broke that Caitlin Clark had filed a lawsuit against Alyssa Thomas after Thomas allegedly directed racist comments toward Clark. The details are still unfolding, but the tension between the two players had clearly reached a boiling point. What started as fierce competition on the basketball court turned into something far more serious, leaving fans and pundits alike stunned. Clark, typically the type to let her game do the talking, felt compelled to take legal action. This wasn't a simple exchange of trash talk, the kind of back-and-forth players use to get into each other's heads. According to sources, the words used by Thomas were racially charged, crossing a line that Clark could not ignore. This incident quickly left the realm of sportsmanship and entered into something much darker. And while the game has seen its share of on-court clashes, this was different. In a sport that has long struggled for the kind of media attention that the men's game commands, this incident brought attention for all the wrong reasons. Basketball has always been about rivalries, but this situation revealed the undercurrents of racial tension that still exist. For many fans, this clash between Clark and Thomas brought forth uncomfortable questions about the role of race in sports, especially in an era where athletes are increasingly using their platforms to speak out on social issues. However, Clark's decision to take this matter to court instead of handling it privately speaks volumes about her character and her determination not to let this slide. Thomas, on the other hand, has always been a passionate player, someone who wears her emotions on her sleeve. There's no denying her intensity on the court, and it's easy to see how that could spill over into conflict. But her alleged comments crossed into territory that no amount of competitive fire can justify. Fans who admire her for her tenacity now find themselves questioning where the line between passion and prejudice lies. As for Clark, the lawsuit is a bold move from someone who, at such a young age, has already demonstrated an incredible level of poise. Her rise to prominence has been swift, but she's never let the spotlight distract her from her goals. On the court, she's become known for her laser focus, training threes from well beyond the arc, without breaking a sweat. Off the court, she's shown that same kind of precision in the way she's approached this legal battle. There's no bravado in her decision, no sense of trying to turn this into a media circus. Instead, it feels like a calculated step to address something deeply wrong in the sport she loves. It's worth noting how rare it is for athletes, particularly women, to take such drastic legal measures against each other. The world of sports, particularly women's sports, often emphasizes unity and mutual support. When two players of this caliber are dragged into a public feud of this nature, it signals a breakdown in that solidarity. The lawsuit is not just about Clark standing up for herself. It's a statement about the standards of conduct that she believes should be upheld in her sport. Clark's influence in basketball extends far beyond her stats. Her playing style has inspired countless young athletes, many of whom see her as a role model. She represents the next generation of women's basketball players who are unafraid to shoot from deep and lead their teams to victory. Now, with this lawsuit, she's also showing those same athletes that there are battles worth fighting off the court. On the flip side, Thomas' career has been one defined by resilience. Injuries, tough losses, and personal challenges have never slowed her down. She's the kind of player who dives for loose balls, takes charges, and does whatever it takes to help her team win. But this situation is different. This isn't something she can just muscle through with grit and determination. The implications of her alleged comments are far-reaching, and whether or not she intended them to cause harm, the damage has been done. What's particularly striking about this situation is how it contrasts with the personas of both players. Clark, who is generally calm and composed, found herself pushed to take drastic action. Thomas, who has always been known for her toughness, now finds herself facing accusations that go beyond the court. It's a moment that forces fans to reckon with the fact that athletes are more than just what we see in games. They are people with complex emotions, and sometimes those emotions lead to explosive consequences. The lawsuit also brings up broader issues about how race and sports intersect. In recent years, athletes from all backgrounds have been more vocal about racial injustice, both in their communities and within their sports. For Clark, this lawsuit is not just about personal offense. It's about setting a precedent that racism has no place in basketball, no matter who you are or how good you are at the game. In sports, the dynamic between competitors often leads to friction, but it's rare for that friction to escalate into something as serious as a lawsuit. This situation, though, has crossed that line. It's no longer just about basketball or even about who said what. It's about the values that the sport should represent. For Clark, those values are clearly tied to respect for your teammates, for your opponents, and for the game itself. As the legal process unfolds, it's unlikely that Clark or Thomas will comment publicly about the case. Both will likely let their lawyers do the talking from here on out. But their silence won't diminish the impact of this moment. The basketball world is watching, and no matter how this ends, it will leave a lasting mark on the sport. Players, coaches, and fans will all be forced to reflect on how they interact with one another, both on and off the court. This isn't just a story about two players who couldn't get along. It's a story about what happens when competition goes too far, when the intensity of the game spills over into something harmful. And it's a reminder that no matter how much we admire athletes for their skills, they are still human beings capable of making mistakes. For Clark, this lawsuit is about more than winning a legal battle. It's about standing up for what she believes is right. And for Thomas, this could be a turning point in her career, a moment that forces her to reassess how she channels her competitive spirit. Regardless of the outcome, this situation will shape the future of women's basketball, not just in terms of how players interact with each other, but in how the sport deals with issues of race and respect moving forward. As this case develops, there's a palpable sense that we're witnessing a moment of change. Clark and Thomas may be at the center of this storm, but the ripple effects will be felt throughout the sport. Fans, coaches, and players alike will be watching closely to see how this all plays out, knowing that the outcome could set a precedent for how similar issues are handled in the future. This situation isn't just about a single incident or a single lawsuit. It's about the culture of basketball and how that culture can sometimes allow harmful behavior to go unchecked. By taking legal action, Clark is forcing a conversation that many have been hesitant to have. She's drawing a line in the sand, one that says racism has no place in the game, no matter who it comes from. For now, the ball is in the court of the legal system. But one thing is clear. This is about more than just basketball. This is about respect, dignity, and the kind of future Clark wants to see for the sport she loves. And while we don't know how this will all end, we do know that the stakes are higher than ever. Both Clark and Thomas had defined their careers by how they handle pressure on the court. Now, they're facing a different kind of pressure, and the way they handle it could define their legacies for years to come. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.